Well, here I am. I'm in the great state of New Mexico. Some wouldn't call it that, but I do. Just real blessed to be here. You know, in fact, today's January the 19th, 2016. You know, I like to talk about some things that just really kind of jump out and hit me. And have you ever thought about it? Are you not really amazed at some of the things that people believe and why they believe them? It's almost like they believe them, they don't know why they believe them. I'm just always amazed about that. You know, I like the saying, I don't know if it's mine or not, but I think people live what they believe. You know, like on Sunday mornings, I go out and I'll check some cattle before church, and I guess I believe I have to go do that on Sunday. Somebody says, well, why don't you take a day off? I say, well, I think God expects me to go take care of those cattle because there's no telling what you find out there sometimes. So I like to say, you know, people live what they believe. I think there's lots of confusion in the world. I think people struggle so much with what to believe. But I want to try to make that real simple and real pointed. You know, if you're confused, why don't you just start real simply? You know, we have to have some truth. You have to find out what you believe, why you believe it, and where you're headed at in life. You know, I tell those kids that help me sometimes, you know, to stand up on 2 feet and just keep it going, you know. Point yourself in the right direction, but always stand up on 2 feet. You know, and the truth, of course, I have to go back to the Bible again. You know, if you're struggling with what to believe, I mean, look at the current, you know, election coming up. You ever seen so much about all these people and what they believe, all these different candidates? Now, they believe something all right. I'm not sure how much of all that they believe, but they say they do. I think some of them are probably more believable than others, but that's a whole different deal. But if you notice, something like that, even like the election, that's a pretty deep-grained personal thing with people. Same way with religion. You know, belief in the Bible, and you hear this preacher and that preacher and this different belief and that different belief. Well, I'm going to just really point you to a simple way. Why don't you just go back to something simple if you're really confused? I never saw so many people live so many different ways. Now take these cows for example. Now these cows, they really believe that whenever I come up here and I honk my horn, I'm going to feed them some cake. Man, they believe that with all their heart, because I mean they come a-running. So, you know, belief's a pretty deep-grained thing with us. And you better find out what you believe. That's what, you really better figure out what in the world you believe. Well, there's a couple of verses here that really strike me pretty good. The first one's in John 16, verse 9. And this is a pretty striking little verse. The world's sin is that it refuses to believe in me. Have you ever really saw that? The world's sin is that it refuses to believe in me. That's what Jesus had to say. And then go over there, John 14, and verse 1. And I like this. This is where I'm going to go real simple right here. I've always said that the Bible can be the most complicated book for the most complicated person, and the simplest book for the most simple person. But you're really struggling with what to believe and why to believe it? John 14:1. Jesus said, "Don't let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God and trust also in me." Ain't that just pretty simple? Jesus said, trust in God and don't let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God and trust also in me. I think that's pretty pointed. You know, there's a lot of deep beliefs. You know, and you know, I hear one person believing this and one person believing that. But you just stop. You really point yourself in a direction to figure out what you believe and why you believe it. There's only one set of truths, you know, and they're right here, right in this book. You know, I like to listen to the book of Ecclesiastes a lot. Mr. Kern, the guy I know, he likes the book of Ecclesiastes too. You know, and you're going to believe something towards the end of your life. Chapter 9, the heading of that says death comes to all, but we'll get to that someday. But verse 5 of chapter 11, just as you cannot understand the path of the wind or the mystery of a tiny baby growing in its mother's womb, so you cannot understand the activity of God who does all things. You know, I like to say, you know, and my family doesn't like me saying it too much, but I like to say, you know, death's around every corner. And at the very last day of the year, here a few years ago, probably 5 or 6, I thought I was going to die 3 times in one day. So when you get close to death, you better have a good belief. You better have a belief in what's right so that you can face that. And not only that, not only just facing death, but you better try to face every day. So you better figure out what you believe. You know, that's something that just strikes me. And I just want to challenge you with that. Get out there, do some studying, go back to simple. If you're just so confused, you go back to simple. You just start with Jesus. You believe in God. You look for Him to guide your life. We don't understand all the things that God does. That's just so amazing, and you know, I can't keep up with that. So I'm just challenging you to go back, start over. You figure out what you believe every day, because that's going to guide your life wherever you go. Now, that little baby calf over there crying, he believes his mama's kind of forgot about him. So he's got a belief too. He's crying for her. So I hear lots of crying in the world. But let's get us some strong beliefs and let's get in the right direction. Amen.